Hi guys, welcome back again to Dinner Guide. I'll be your host and chef, Sheena Amario. I'm excited to be here and I hope you guys are. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today we're making some excited things and we wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for your viewership. So thank you again for viewing in. Today we're going to be making some different things. We're going to be making some sweet potatoes different from the way you're used to it at home. I know at home you're used to boiling your sweet potatoes, but we're going to be doing none of that. We're going to be roasting it in the oven. And it's just a different way for you to have your sweet potatoes from the regular Kenyan way that we're used to boiling ours. And then other than that, we're going to be having some chicken. And the chicken I'm making is it's going to have some lemon as well. So it's lemon paprika chicken with some cinnamon and with some cinnamon roasted sweet potatoes. Yes, so to begin off with our ingredients, of course, we've got a lot going on, but it's not so much that you'll get confused. We've got some lemons, then we've got some cucumber, we've got some tomatoes, we've got some chicken. The chicken I'm choosing to use chicken legs, basically the thigh part, but you could use any part you wanted. I just prefer the thighs, so that's what I'm using. And then I have some lettuce as well. We're going to make a little salad. And then we have now the ones that I've already cut, the sweet potatoes, which I'm going to show you how to do from the full one. And then now we've got our spices. And then let me mention here briefly, we've got some zest. The zest is basically the zest from a lemon, this. And what I've zested is basically one lemon. And this is what the lemon looks like. So after you zest it, this is what it looks like. And zesting basically just comprises of running it through the grater, and then what you get is this mixture. And a tip for you guys at home, when you're zesting your lemons, try not to go to the white pit. I did that on purpose so that you could see what I mean by the white pit and the regular part. So you want to go only to this part, but not the entire white bit, because when you get to this bit, it's very bitter. So then we're going to go through now the ingredients. So here we are using some paprika, some cayenne pepper. And then we've got some vinegar, some oil. I'm using olive oil. It's the light olive oil, so you might be wondering why it's not so dark. It's light olive oil. Then we've got some dry herbs here. I've got some thyme and I've got some oregano. The oregano I'm going to use in my sweet potatoes, but then the thyme I'm going to use in my chicken. And then I've got some black pepper, some salt. And then this is now the paprika, and then some cinnamon, sorry. I love the smell of cinnamon. And with the sweetness from the sweet potato, it's a really good combination. It brings the sweetness out even more. So that's what we're making, and that's it for our ingredients. We're going to go on a small, tiny break, but don't worry, when you come back, I'll be right here waiting for you guys to come back so we can continue with the lovely meal I've just mentioned we're going to make. Welcome back again to Dinner Guide. I'm Sheena, your host and chef. Like I mentioned before, if you had missed out, we're making some lemon paprika chicken as well as some sweet potatoes. And my sweet potatoes, I'm infusing them with some oregano and some cinnamon. So they're cinnamon, roasted oregano, sweet potatoes. So to go ahead, I'm going to start off by putting on our oven, just because I need the oven to be a little bit hot. So I'm preheating it to 200 degrees. Then I'm just going to start our timer off just for the sake of it, and to 200. So as the oven is going on, I'm going to take out the tray because this is what I'm going to use for the sweet potatoes. And I'm going to layer it with foil. If you don't have foil at home, please don't mind. You can just go ahead and use the tray as is. But I'll tell you this as a tip. If you have foil at home, one, it's easier, and two, the washing up, you don't have to do it, because all you have to do is just remove this, dump it in the bin, and then this will be so much easier to wash. So that's a tip for you guys. So all you want to do is just layer this up. Just make sure all the sides are layered up that way. And then usually I like to put to spray some oil in here, just so that there's less sticking. And then just spread it out. You can use a brush, use your hands. I'm just doing it like you'll do it at home. I know you're going to use your hands, so go right ahead. And then once that's greased, set it aside. Get your kitchen paper towels. Wipe your hands. If you don't have any, you could just use a dishcloth. It's all good. Okay, so to go ahead to peel this and cut them this way, all I did was get a sweet potato and then I peeled it. If you have a peeler at home, if you don't have one, I would suggest you get a peeler at home, because doing this with a knife, one, you're going to waste a lot of flesh from the sweet potato, so it's a lot easier if you have a peeler. So then just go ahead and peel this. So all you're doing is just long strips. See what I mean? And the wastage is so little, and this is exactly what you're looking for. So I'm just going to go ahead and peel this all the way through so that it can be the same as the other ones. So like I've mentioned, if you don't have a peeler, it could be high time you think of investing in one, but again, you don't have to. You could just use your regular knife at home. It's totally up to you. Okay, so once that's done, you can set this aside. So I want to first cut what I'm going to use, which is going to be, I'm not going to use these tips, I'm cutting it off. And this is a bit irregular, so I'm not going to use all the way to that part. But don't throw this away. You could definitely boil this now if you wanted to make your nomongwashe, or you could pan fry this as well. But just because I'm making this into like fry shapes, obviously, so that's the reason why I'm cutting that bit off. Then cut this into half so it can be easier for you to cut. Then once you've done that, cut this again into half with your knife. And then if you're probably wondering why I'm not washing this, my sweet potato was already washed. If you looked at my skin, it's pretty clean. The outside is pretty clean. Like if you look at my hands, they're already clean, like they're not dirty. So I really washed it thoroughly because I knew I was not going to wash it in this step. And there's a reason for that. The reason I'm not washing it in this step is because I'm putting it in the oven. And what happens when you put it in the oven and it's wet, it's going to soak up oil and you're not going to get the nice crispy texture you're kind of looking for. And this is what you want from your sweet potatoes. Nice and dry. But by all means, if you decide to wash your sweet potatoes at this stage, then all you have to do is get a paper towel, and then after they're wet, you'll basically just place them on here and then just dab them like that. That way, any moisture that is in there will leave. So I'll continue with this as well. So the same thing I've done there. And for cutting sweet potatoes, you need a bit of force. So if you've been eating ugali, that's good for you. You need a bit of energy. So for the carbs, yeah. So again, I'm just cutting this into the same strips I've done there. And my sweet potatoes are not perfect. If you notice, some of them still have the skin on, as you can see. It's all good. Don't worry too much about getting it all the way perfect. It's more about getting you to try and make the recipe than anything else. So once that's done, as you can see, you have your nice strips that look like fries, big chunks, more of wedges now. So we're going to season this. And for the seasoning, like I mentioned, we're putting some cinnamon and some paprika. So for that, sorry, not paprika. You could add some paprika if you wanted, but since I'm going to add paprika in the chicken, I'm going to try not to add it in here. So for this, I'm just going to use the cinnamon and my thyme leaves. Sorry, so my oregano leaves. So just a pinch goes a long way. So I'm not going to use too much, about half a teaspoon. Just mix that in there. Get your oregano, do the same thing. Now, like I've mentioned, if you are making a different type of chicken, you could definitely add paprika in here, but since I'm adding paprika in there, I'm going to opt not to add it in here, just so there's a bit of contrast in flavors. That's the only reason. But by all means, if you like your paprika that much, feel free to add it. So here I'm going to add some oil. Then I'm going to toss this and mix it. And I'm using olive oil like I mentioned. My olive oil is light. In case, again, you've just joined us and you're wondering, but Sheena, your olive oil doesn't look like the one in the shops. Yes, there's different types. There's like the extra light one, and then there's the regular one. So mine is just light. And by light, I mean it's not as strong in color and taste as well. It's a bit milder. So that's the main difference. So I'm adding some salt now. And personally, I love black pepper. Now, you don't have to add black pepper, but I do. So it's always going to be in one or two of my dishes. But like I said, if you don't like it, you don't have to add it. So here we're just going to mix and mix. Give it some love. Yes. If you don't like doing the dirty work, well, you can get your kids to come into the kitchen and obviously they can help you out, or your spouse can help you out, or your siblings can help you out. So you don't have to cook alone. You can always make it a family meal. I'm making a small portion, but it's a meal you could make for your full entire family. So once this is well mixed, these ones are running away from me, but don't worry. They get back into the plate. And another one. So anyway, yes, once this is well mixed, this is what we're looking for. See, the spices have all gone in. Not a single sweet potato is dry. This is what you're looking for. Then now it's time to place them onto our tray. So we're just going to spread this. And then also a tip for you guys at home, don't overcrowd your pan, especially if you're baking, roasting, or whatever it is, if it's in the oven, because what you end up doing is steaming the product instead of you actually roasting it, and you want it to get the nice, a bit of some char, a bit of some color, some golden brown color. And if you end up crowding the pan, the tray pan, then what you end up doing is steaming, like I've mentioned. So once that's ready, it's going to go into the oven. So I'm just going to wash my hands. And then get my paper towels. Then I'm going to throw this in there. And once I do, I always like to check my temperature to know once again whether I should now readjust it or not. So my oven is hot. And then put this in the center. And then again, always check your oven. Everything is set correctly. And then set your timer to about 30 minutes. And your sweet potatoes should be good. So I'm just going now to clear up this a little bit. And then we can move on to our chicken, which is going to be cooking on the stove top. Again, for the chicken, if you wanted to, you could definitely put it in the oven, because for this dish, you could actually get everything and just dump it together in the oven with the sweet potatoes. But I'm not going to do that, since I've said I'm looking to have things to have just a little flavor. And then again for the board. Now, if I had started with the chicken, I'll have had to wash this board like thoroughly, because there'll be cross-contamination. But for this, since I've just wiped my board, it doesn't matter so much. But just note, if you're at home and you start with your chicken, before you move on to the next product, please ensure your board is clean and you've washed it thoroughly, because you end up with cross-contamination, especially from raw products to cooked products. Okay, so my knife is clean. Now for the chicken, again, if you're just tuning in, I mentioned we're using chicken thighs, and this is just a preference. You don't have to. You can remove the skin if you want to. I'm going to leave it in because I like a little skin in there. I like the flavor, I like the fat, so it's all optional. So I'm going to make some small incision cuts, and all these are just small shallow cuts that allow for whatever marinade or spices you're going to add into the chicken to seep through the chicken. So not very deep cuts, just shallow cuts. And your cuts should be shallow enough, they should not get to your bone, because then you'll start to lose moisture. then the last one. So once you're done, like I've said, the shallow cut is what you're looking for. So it's just a shallow cut. It's not all the way to the bone. Just something very, very shallow. So that's all you're looking for. Okay. So once that's done, we're going to now marinate this. If you've got a lot of time on your hand, then definitely if you're doing a marinade, leave it at least overnight. That's always a good place to start. But 20 minutes marinade or just a few minutes will work as well if you don't have the time. So I'm going to use the same plate because it's still raw chicken. So all I'm going to do is just wipe it a little bit and then proceed. And so for my marinade, or rather for my rub, it's going to be a bit of cayenne pepper. So this is the cayenne pepper, my paprika, some salt. Okay, so some paprika, and I want a bit of paprika, so I'm heavy on the paprika because I want it to have that beautiful color. Okay, and then we're going to add some cayenne. Now cayenne has got a little bit of heat. It's not so much like chili pepper, but if you like the heat, if you like it mild, then by all means add a bit of cayenne pepper. If you like it a bit stronger, then go with chili, which is now the red pili pili. But if you're not Kenyan, pili pili just means chili. Yeah, so just a little bit. I don't mind the heat, so I'm adding a little more. And then there's black pepper. Again, black pepper has got a little kick, just a little bit. So if you don't like your food hot or spicy, then do not add the cayenne pepper and don't add your black pepper. But if you don't mind the heat, you could add just a bit of the black pepper if you don't want it too strong. But if you don't mind any, add everything. And then now add your thyme leaves. So thyme leaves, usually you can tell the difference between this and oregano. They're more or less thin, whereas oregano is a bit thicker. It's kind of like round, if you can see that. So they're a bit different. In other circumstances, if you didn't have thyme, you could definitely use oregano. But just because I've used the oregano in there, I'm choosing to use a different herb. And again, I like thyme, so I'm going a little bit more. And this just a teaspoon. And this will go a long way. The zest of a lemon actually is stronger than the juice. So just that much. I'm going to add my salt a little later. Then I'm going to get this and juice it. And this is a tip for you guys at home. If your lemon is a bit hard or stiff, if you roll it out, you get a lot more juice than you would otherwise. So all you have to do is just roll it out a little bit and it's going to become a lot softer. Okay, so once that's done, I'm just going to half it. You can see it already, the juices are peeping out. Then I'm going to squeeze this. And then always use your hand as a pit. You see that juice? That's so much juice. Use your hand as a pit because that's where you're going to catch all the pits from the lemon, the seeds basically. Then put them aside. But you can always use a sieve. But this is just because if you don't have a sieve or you don't want to make more dishes dirty, use your hand. Just make sure your hand is clean. Then set that aside. Then add a bit more of lemon. See what I mean about the juice? All the juice is from this one lemon. But then again, my lemon is a bit bigger than the regular one, so that could have something to do with it as well. Okay, so just juice that. This is going to be nice and lemony. Now, if you wanted to add other items into this, like ginger, garlic, you could definitely go ahead and do that. I'm just going to keep it simple because I want the lemon flavors in here. And garlic is pretty strong by itself. I'm a huge fan of garlic, but for this one, I'm just going to opt not to add it. Okay, so once that's done, we're going to add a bit of our oil. Just drizzle a bit, and then we're going to mix this. So yes, more mixing. Now, like I mentioned, if you've got the time, definitely leave this to sizzle and cook overnight. Sorry, if you've got more time, let this marinate overnight. But if you don't, you could just go ahead and start cooking. So I'm just going to start preheating my pan before I do the mixture. That way when I get to putting my chicken into the pan, it's already hot. Okay, so reduce your heat. And then leave the lid outside. Then add a bit of oil in here. Okay. So now we're going to start marinating. We're giving our chicken some tender love and care. If you notice, I've reduced my voice because this is a very, very delicate process. Yes, I'm getting to know my chicken a little bit more. It needs all the love it can get at this particular time. So you want to treat it very delicately with a lot of love and patience, because the way you treat your food is the way it's going to treat you. So you don't want to rush this. So if you see this, see how beautiful the chicken looks? That's from the paprika. I mean, look how gorgeous it looks. Oh, it's so beautiful. I have moments sometimes when I'm cooking. Well, I'll end up talking to my food because I'm like, oh my God, it looks lovely. Okay, so that looks good enough. And again, I'll remind you, in case you weren't here earlier, I mentioned you could definitely leave this to marinate and cook overnight. But if you don't have the time, you can just go right ahead to the pan. But overnight will definitely give you some good results because the flavors and the spices will have penetrated all the way through the chicken. So check on the heat. This is a bit too hot. I'm going to put it aside. As I wash my hands now. So I'm going to reduce the heat just a little bit, just because I can see my pan is getting way too hot. So don't be afraid to reduce the heat when you're in the kitchen. And that's why sometimes it's always good to know your stovetop or your oven, so that when you're cooking, a recipe could say 180 degrees, 200 degrees, but if you follow it to the latter and your oven is a different temperature or your stovetop has a different heat with the regulators, then you definitely mess up your recipe. So always have a watchful eye to what it is you're cooking. That's a tip for you guys. So right now I'm just looking for tongs so that I can place my chicken. Okay. So we're just going to make sure our pan is hot. I can already see some smoke, but it's not so much, it's just a little smoke. Then get your chicken, and you're going to hear a sizzle. That's the sound you're looking for. Doesn't our chicken look beautiful? It looks so pretty, I can't wait. And then again, whenever you're cooking, try to approximate your cooking with whatever equipment you have. So for example, the amount of chicken I had, as you've seen, it fits perfectly into my pan because, like I mentioned earlier with the sweet potatoes, you don't want to overcrowd the equipment you're using. So that way, whether you're roasting or frying, it's going to actually cook in that type of method other than a different type. So now I can add our heat, but not too much, just a little bit. So our chicken is going to fully cook in here. In about 20 minutes, this will actually be done. So I'm going to place this aside. And then our sweet potatoes are still going on in the oven. You could always have a look at them. They're still going on. So as this is going on, we're going to take a short break, and when you guys come back, I'm going to show you guys how I'm going to do the salad, as well as how we're going to finish off the sweet potatoes and the chicken. So I'm definitely looking back to you guys coming back. Again, I'm your host and chef, Tina. Looking forward to having you back after the break. Hi guys, welcome back from the break. If you've just missed out and you're just joining us, we're about to end the show, but don't worry. Earlier we were making some sweet potato fries, as well as some chicken, some lemon paprika chicken. And the sweet potato, if you missed out, is not just any normal sweet potato, it's some sweet potato fries with some cinnamon and some oregano in it. So to start off with, we're going to go to the oven so I can show you what's been going on while you are away. My sweet potatoes are actually ready now. And if you have a look at them, I'm just going to wear my hand mitten. If you don't have one, you can just use a dishcloth. Don't have a fight about not having this, so you can't bake or roast anything. Okay, so this is what they look like. So these have been roasting in the oven for about 30 minutes. So I'm now just going to switch them off and set them aside. So I'm going to leave them in the oven as I check on this, but I'll put off the timer so that they do not continue cooking. Always make sure once you're finished with whatever meal is in the oven, you put it off. Then we're going to now check our chicken. Yes, the star of the show. Ta-da! Oh, doesn't that look pretty? Okay, so while you were away, I turned the chicken and our chicken is actually ready. It's been cooking for about 20 minutes. It's pretty much done, and you can tell the chicken is done because it shrinks in size. If you look at it, it's not as big as when we started, and also the skin has also like shriveled and shrunk up. So exactly what this looks like, you can tell the chicken is cooked. But if you're also not sure, another tip you could do if you're at home is always get a knife and then pierce the thickest part of the meat and then wait to see whether any juices will come out that are bloody. And for this, you cannot see any bloody juices coming out. You see that? They're clear. So if you do that at home and you pierce your chicken and it comes out to some bloody juices, then by all means it's not cooked. Let it cook some more. So I'm going to switch off the heat. So always switch off the heat. And then don't worry about all the oil that has seeped into the pan. As you can see, there's a lot of oil that has seeped into the pan, but there's also flavor in this oil. A tip, actually, instead of throwing out all this oil, you could use it in other things like roasted potatoes. You could actually save that oil. And then the next time you're making some roast potatoes, use that oil as the basing, as the baste, because it's going to give it some extra flavor. You could even use it in the sweet potatoes. Remember the part where I added oil? You could add oil that you've used from your chicken, because that's going to give it like an extra oomph. And if you have like people coming over for dinner, they're going to be like, what's that? Sheena, there's something in your potatoes. I can't quite tell what it is. Yeah, that's what happens. So we're going to go ahead and plate this. But before that, actually, I mentioned I'll show you guys how to do the salad. So let me just take this out from the oven and put it aside so that it can start cooling. Okay. So in the meantime, I'm going to show you how we're going to do our salad, which is just very simple, very basic. I'm not doing anything over the top. I'm just going to get some lettuce, which I'm just going to cut up in here, just roughly, just big chunks of salad. And if you're not a salad person, you could definitely have this chicken with vegetables, any vegetables you like. Skuma if you want. Skuma is kales for those of you who are not Kenyan. You could also have it with spinach. Don't mind my mess. You could also have it with spinach, as well as mushrooms, broccoli, carrots, you name it. Whatever vegetables you feel like having, by all means, go right ahead. So my tomatoes are already washed. So is my cucumber. So what I'm going to do here is actually peel my cucumber, but not all the way. So I'm going to peel it in intersections. So what I mean by that is I'm going to peel one side of the cucumber, one side of the cucumber, and then skip and peel another side, skip and peel another side, skip and peel another side, and then skip and peel another side to where I began. So what you have is the ridges. That's what I'm looking for. And then place this aside into your dustbin. Then get your knife, and then I'm just going to wipe my knife. Okay, so for this we're going to cut the tip and the other tip. We don't need the whole of it. So then I'm just going to cut half of it. And then this is optional. If you do not want the juices inside your lemon, by all means you can remove them. But if you don't mind, you can use them. And if you're going to remove them, this is how you'd go about it. Just split it into half and then remove that. So then now you can slice this whichever way you want. You see that? So you have your nice cut cucumber. But if you don't mind, just cut it as it is. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Then add this into for my salad. I'm going to use this part as well. So just so I don't waste, I'm going to add these ones as well. But then if you're doing it at home, try to pick one cut and then just use that cut for the rest of whatever the salad it is that you're making. And then my tomatoes, nothing fancy in here. Again, just a regular cut. Okay, and also when you're picking out your tomatoes for salads, try and make sure that the skin is a bit firm, like the tomato I have here as well. See the skin, it's firm. That way when you make your tomatoes, when you make your salad, they're not going to die down inside the salad because they were too soft and soggy. Then you add this in. And then because I'm going to have my salad right now, that's why I've actually left in the flesh. But if you weren't going to, you would actually remove it and then you could put it aside, so that if you're going to pack your salad, it's not going to be mushy by the time you come back and have it for lunch the next day. So I just want to clean my board really quickly. It's always essential that you clean as you go. Okay, so that once that's done, I'm going to set my salad aside. So again, that's all I've used. If you've got other vegetables, capsicums, go right ahead, just add them in there. And then for this, I'm now going to add, so for this, I'm now going to use my bowl to mix in my vinaigrette. So for the vinaigrette, I'm using some apple cider vinegar and some olive oil, as well as some salt and some black pepper. So there are different types of vinegars, but I'm opting to use apple cider vinegar. You could definitely use red wine vinegar, white wine vinegar, whatever vinegar you have, you could definitely do that. So I just like the taste of the apple cider vinegar. It's got like a sharpness to it and a bit of a sweetness to it. So I'm opting to use that. Then I'm going to use some oil. And then usually when you're making a vinaigrette, always just try to make sure that the oil is a bit on the higher side compared to the vinegar. That way the acidity will not be so sharp. But if you wanted to balance that out, you could add some sugar. But since I'm using a bit of a sweet vinegar, I'm not going to add extra sugar. I'm just going to add some salt, as well as some black pepper. Like I mentioned, I like black pepper if you're just tuning in, and I tend to add it to almost everything I cook or make for that matter. It's a bit of black pepper, and that's it. Then now from this, you're going to whisk your mixture, and then we're going to taste it. It's always crucial, whatever it is you're making, just try and taste it as you go. And see what happens, it emulsifies, which is what you're looking for. And emulsification basically just means that the vinegar and the oil has come together. And then I'm just going to taste this just a little bit and see if I need to add anything or not. And to me, it tastes absolutely fine. I'll add a bit of more black pepper just because I like a bit of heat. But for you at home, you don't have to. And then something else you could add in here if you want to elevate the flavor even more. You could add whatever herbs you have. So if you've got some fresh herbs, some dhania, some parsley, you could definitely do that. Since I used some lemon into the chicken, I'm actually going to add lemon. So that way it will give a bit of a sharp taste. Remember the lemon zest I grated? I'm going to add that in there. Just a little bit. Then whisk that. Okay, and once that's done, we can now plate our salad. So I'm just going to set this aside. And then it's always good to use your dressing. If you're not going to use a dressing at this particular stage, by all means, don't dress it right now. You'll want to dress it a bit later, because what is actually going to happen is your vegetables are going to soak up all the moisture from the vinaigrette, and then they're going to wilt. But if you're having a salad at this particular moment, then you want to add this in here, then we're going to toss it. So just mix this in. You can use some tongs, a fork, and okay, clearly not a knife. A spoon like I'm doing, and that's about it. And you see your vegetables become nice and glossy, and that's exactly what you want. Then now it's time to actually plate up our food and finish off with a bit more. And then I'm going to place this aside. Then get your plate. Then we're going to get our fries. And then the beauty of these fries, the tray is now cool so I can't touch it. The beauty of the fries is you can have these as snacks. If you feel them, they're nice and crispy. I don't know if you can feel that. They're nice and crispy. And that's the beauty of them. You could have this as a snack if you're at home. I'm just going to take this and put them on the plate. So this is actually a healthy snack, because for one, it's baked, so there's very little oil in it other than the oil I initially first added at the beginning stage. And of course, other than that, all it has are spices, and it's been baked, it's been roasted in the oven. So it's clearly very healthy. It's a very healthy alternative to fries. Then we're just going to get our salad and plate it in there. Then grab your salad and then just plate it. So it's a nice healthy meal, because one, it's balanced obviously. You have your protein, your vegetables, and your carbs in here. And we are serving a nice large portion of salad. So we're not just putting the salad there for decoration, you're actually meant to eat it. And this is a nice place to start. If you don't eat salads, you could just start with something simple. Don't say you can't make the salad because you didn't have this, you didn't have that. I've used very basic ingredients that you could find, just excuse me, that you could find in the supermarket. So very simple items that you could find. And then once that's done, I'm going to just drizzle a bit more of olive oil. Sorry, the vinaigrette. As well as a bit of our juices from the chicken onto the chicken. So just a bit of the oil from the chicken, but not too much, just a little bit to give it that gloss. You see how that made a difference? Our chicken is all of a sudden nice and glossy. Yeah. So again, I'm your host and chef, Shina Amario. I hope you'll be joining me again for the dinner guide. I'm looking forward to have you guys, and please make sure you follow us on our social media. It's Brand Plus TV on Facebook. You can find us there. I'm looking forward to have you guys join us again. Have a lovely time. Bye.